It's 6 in the morning and I've been crying all night. My eyes are swollen, my throat burns, and my hands won't stop shaking as I type these words. Do you know that feeling when the world you thought was solid suddenly crumbles beneath your feet? That's me right now, because last night, the man I trusted, the man I believed was my future, he shattered everything. But before I get into the mess, the betrayal, and the sleepless night that led me here, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Trust me, you'll have plenty to say about this story. Let me rewind for a moment. I'm 26 years old, and I've been with him for a little over 2 years. At first, he felt like the answer to every prayer I'd whispered into the dark. He was charming, funny in that sarcastic way that made me laugh even when I didn't want to, and he always made me feel like the most important person in the room. You know that feeling when someone looks at you and it feels like they actually see you? That's what I thought I had with him. In the beginning, we were inseparable. He'd pick me up after work, bring me my favorite iced coffee just because, and stay up late binge-watching shows with me, even when he had to wake up early. He'd send good morning texts that made me smile before I even got out of bed. My friends used to say, "Wow, you've got a good one. Don't mess this up." And I believed them. I believed him. But slowly, almost so slowly I didn't notice at first, things started to change. It began with little things, the kind of red flags you tell yourself are just quirks, like how his mum always seemed to have an opinion about me. At first, I brushed it off as a mother being protective, but then the comments grew sharper, colder. She didn't like how I dressed. She didn't like how I spoke. She didn't like that I didn't call her enough, that I didn't bend over backwards to fit into their family traditions. It felt like no matter what I did, I was wrong. And instead of standing up for me, instead of being the partner I thought he was, he'd just shrug and say things like, "That's just how she is, don't take it personally." But how do you not take it personally when someone is chipping away at your worth? Eventually, I had to draw a boundary. For my own sanity, I went no contact with his mum. I told him, I can't keep subjecting myself to this. If she can't respect me, I won't put myself in situations where she can attack me. I thought he'd understand. I thought he'd see that it wasn't about cutting him off from his family, it was about protecting myself. Instead, he started resenting me for it. At family gatherings, I'd feel his distance. I'd see him laughing with them while I stood awkwardly on the sidelines, unwelcome. And when I told him how isolated I felt, he'd sigh and accuse me of being too sensitive or too dramatic. It was like déjà vu from my childhood, where any time I tried to express how I felt, I was told to get over it. Only this time, it wasn't my parents dismissing me, it was the man who swore he loved me. Still, I held on. Because love makes you do that, doesn't it? It makes you fight for scraps of affection, convince yourself that if you just try harder, things will go back to how they were in the beginning. But deep down, I think I always knew. I knew he cared too much about pleasing his mum, too much about keeping the peace in his family, and not nearly enough about protecting me. Before I continue, let me pause for just a second. If you've ever been in a relationship where you felt like you were competing with your partner's family for respect, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. Because this next part, it's where everything really started to fall apart. The night it all came crashing down started like any other. But by the time the clock hit midnight, I was staring at a man I barely recognized, wondering if I'd wasted years of my life on someone who was never strong enough to love me the way I deserved. The night before everything unraveled, I felt that familiar knot in my stomach, the one you get when something feels wrong, even though you can't quite explain why. You know that feeling when your gut whispers something's off, but your brain tries to talk you out of it? All day, I had been waiting for a text. A simple, "Hey, I'm busy but thinking of you," would have been enough. But my phone stayed silent. No calls, no updates, not even a lazy emoji. Hours ticked by, and with each one, I felt more and more invisible. At first, I told myself not to overreact. He was probably just caught up with family, maybe tired, maybe his phone died. I even tried distracting myself. Netflix running in the background, mindless scrolling through Instagram. But my eyes kept darting back to the screen, waiting for that little buzz of validation that never came. By the time it got late, my chest was tight with worry. I texted him again. "Hey, are you okay?" No response. I waited. 10 minutes, 20, 30. My heart raced as I typed again. "Just let me know you're safe." Still nothing. Do you know what it feels like to be in a relationship but feel like you're shouting into a void? To watch those tiny check marks on your screen and wonder if you've become invisible to the one person who's supposed to care the most? Finally, desperate for answers, I did something I never wanted to do. I texted his brother. "Hey, sorry to bother you so late. Do you know if he's okay? I haven't heard from him." The reply came quickly, almost too casually. "Yeah, he left 2 hours ago to give his ex a ride and then come home." My blood ran cold. His ex? My fingers trembled as I typed, "Wait, his ex was there." And then silence, no reply, just the mocking emptiness of those 3 grey dots that never appeared. I sat there, staring at my screen, feeling like someone had just knocked the air out of my lungs. 2 hours. 2 hours to give someone a ride. Who takes 2 hours unless something more is happening? Every possibility started clawing at my brain. Were they catching up? Laughing in the car like old times? Or worse, were they doing exactly what I feared? I curled up on the couch, clutching my phone like it could somehow give me the answers I needed. Minutes turned into hours. Each creak of the house, each passing car outside, made my heart jolt with false hope that it was him coming home. And when he finally walked through the door, the look on his face told me everything. He looked exhausted, but not the kind of exhausted you get from driving. His hair was a little messy, his shirt wrinkled, and there was this heaviness in his eyes like he'd already made up his mind about something. He didn't even bother with small talk. Didn't ask how my night was, didn't explain why he hadn't texted back. Instead, he dropped his keys on the table, sat down on the couch, and patted the cushion beside him. "We need to talk." Those 4 words. The death sentence of any relationship. My legs felt like lead as I sat down, bracing myself for whatever was about to come next. His voice was calm, too calm, almost rehearsed. "I've been thinking about our situation and I think we should end it." For a moment, the room spun. My ears rang. "End it, just like that?" he went on, explaining how he'd spent the day with his family, how even his mum and his ex had been there, how they all told him that me going no contact with his mum was causing tension, making things awkward. And then he said the thing that sliced me open. "When you weren't there today, I enjoyed my time with my family. There was no tension, and I didn't have to worry about you being upset." Do you hear that? The man I loved, the man I gave my heart to, was telling me that my absence made his life better, that life was easier without me. I stared at him, my voice shaking as I asked the only question that mattered. "Why did it take you 2 hours to drop off your ex? Did you sleep with her?" He rolled his eyes like I was the crazy one. "You're being ridiculous. We were just talking," but my gut screamed otherwise. I sat there, my hands balled into fists, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. He wanted me to believe they just talked. 2 hours alone with his ex, late at night, while I sat at home in tears, talking. I pressed him again, my voice cracking under the weight of desperation and fury. "So nothing happened? You expect me to believe that?" He sighed, rubbing his forehead like I was the one causing a headache. "Why do you always do this? You're so controlling. You're so insecure. You isolate me from my family, from my friends, and now you're inventing things that didn't happen." Inventing things. That word stung, because deep down, I knew. I knew he wasn't telling me everything. I locked eyes with him, refusing to back down. "Answer me. Did something happen with her? Yes or no?" He looked away. His jaw tightened. For a moment, the silence between us felt heavier than any words could, and then, finally, he muttered it. "We fooled around, but that's it." My entire body went numb. It was like being plunged into ice water, unable to breathe. Fooled around. That phrase echoed in my head over and over like a cruel joke. He said it casually, like it was some meaningless mistake, like it didn't gut me to hear it. I stared at him, my voice trembling with rage and heartbreak. "Do you even hear yourself? You let your mother convince you to ruin us, and the next thing you do is get a blowjob from your cheating ex." He flinched at my words, but he didn't deny it. He didn't even try. Instead, he snapped back, "You're pathetic. Always making everything about you, always the victim pathetic." That's what he called me while he sat there admitting he betrayed me. Something inside me cracked wide open.
So if you're listening to this, stuck in a relationship where you feel small, where you feel like you're constantly begging for scraps of love, hear me when I say this. You are worth more. You deserve peace. You deserve someone who doesn't need convincing to choose you. Don't wait for them to change. Don't wait for their family to suddenly accept you. Choose yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's the only choice that will set you free. Before we wrap this up, don't forget to like this video if you believe walking away can be the ultimate revenge. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this, and let me know in the comments. Have you ever had to leave someone who kept betraying your trust? How did it change you?